Well, I got back from Brodax, and as I told you, I've been kind of lax on Control Line Craftsman because I don't have the plans for the RD1. And for that, I'm going to renew everybody's subscription, no charge. Everyone who has registered up to this date, which is 6/21, will get a free year extension. Because there's been 6 months that I didn't do anything. And I feel I can wait no longer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my thought process on my new airplane. And we're going to build one from scratch right out of my head. And I'll show you how to do it out of your head. And it's real simple. So I'll adjust the camera. I'm going to sweep off the table here and lay out some pieces and kind of give you a rundown what my thoughts are on the next airplane. Because the Continental has some things that I really like, and my Monado XL has some things that I really like, and I'm kind of going to incorporate them both. Because the Monado XL flies really well. I did win the one of the Pilot's Choice Awards at Brodax. It's in that really nice plaque with a propeller on it, and I'll get that for you and show you. It's kind of neat, and I want to thank everybody who voted for me. And maybe we can make a perfect airplane this time around, because I'm not going to do it in 40 days or whatever. I'm going to do it as long as it takes to get it perfect. Because for some reason, one of the judges there, that judges appearance, is always nitpicking every little detail over. And the last time that happened at the Nats, I went and I asked him the judge, that was Jim Lynch, what he was looking for. And if you ask him that today, he wishes he would have never told me. Well, this other judge is, and which I shouldn't be worried about, but I'm going to make sure the next one is perfect. So if I get less than 19 points, I'm going to be extremely upset. So anyway, I don't know, probably shouldn't worry about the appearance points as much as I do, but I really like to build nice things, because that's what makes me feel good. So we're going to lay out some pieces, and I'm going to show you my thought process on how I do this, and I'll be back with you in a moment. Here's the Pilot's Choice Award that I received. It's very nice. Get it in here. And I don't know, I'll hang it up in my shop along with my other Pilot's Choice Awards that I have. I still don't have a Nats trophy, but maybe someday. Anyway, I was going to come back yesterday and do this, but today is day 2 of the build. I'm still recuperating from the long drive from Pennsylvania. And I went down and I got the canopy, which is a P51 canopy, and the carbon fiber rod, push rod. So I'm basically getting all my parts in one spot. So now we have to think about how are we going to do the wing. It needs to be approximately 3/4 of an inch longer at all. So there's really not a whole lot of difference. The wing in the Continental is a little thinner, meaning that the airplane would have to be a little lighter. But we know that it's not going to be. So let's measure it up and see what we got here. Yeah, 10.5. So it's a 1/2 inch longer. So it sure looks longer. So what we'll do here, this is how I come about my rib patterns. I'm going to take a sheet of paper and fold it in half. I know that I want the trailing edge a little thicker so that I can concave the flap like I did my elevators on the last model, and we know this is 11 inches here. I have a center line on that. We want to use the molded leading edge, so we're going to move this up there. That would make it too thick. Now this is not the aircraft engineer's way to do things, this is my way. And trust me, it'll work perfect. So now we have to make this 10.5. 10.5. Yeah, it's not quite thick enough, so I'll try again. I just cannot get that. What the heck is going on? I guess the thing to do would be to draw a line. Then we have to do one of these for the tip. Okay, we want a 3/8 of an inch there. So it's got to be a 1/4. So that's an 1/8 of an inch on each side, 1/4 plus 16, 3/8. Make it a 1/2. It's a 1/4 and a 1/4. It's got to come to right there. Okay. We'll get her now. Yep, got her now. Then And take your scissors. Carefully cut out this airfoil. We will 3M77 glue this to plywood. Cut and sand the templates out. Now, I used an existing airfoil and modified it. However, you can use the side of your shoe, a French curve. It just doesn't matter. We were talking about this at Brodax. All these airfoils work. And if you'll notice, they're all, if you use the TLAR method, they're all pretty much the same wing. I think it was John Miller that we were talking. He was talking 18%, 14. I have no clue what the hell he was talking about. It's all Greek to me. This is how I did it as a kid. This is how I'm doing it now. And this does work. Okay. So now, you unfold it, and I have my airfoil. And trust me, this will work. And work good. Take a little sandpaper and clean this up. Of course, it won't much matter until I glue it on the plywood. Probably gonna have to run down to Shavers and pick up some plywood for templates, because I just don't have any stuff I want to waste. Let's see what the difference is. And if you look here, this wing ended up a little bit fatter. And that's probably, we probably ought to cut it down a little bit. It's about a pencil line fatter all the way around. And after talking to Bob Gieske, this is basically how the Gieske Nobler evolved from the Aldrich Nobler. Same thing. We're going to do some other construction differences in this particular wing too. So now we have to figure out what we want for the tip span. Let's see. Tip span. Going to be the same length as this. I think we ought to just use this template right here. But well, I'm going to cut the camera while I look for some parts, so we'll be back in a minute. Okay, what I've done is I used to have 3M77, but I don't know what happened to it. This is high strength 3M90. It's all the same. Wellswood contact cement. And I've made my 2 rib templates. And I have some 1/8" plywood that I found here. And I sprayed both sides. And you just take this, and we're going to stick it to the plywood. Make sure to be careful while sticking it so that you don't get any wrinkles in it, because you don't want to distort the airfoil. And then we're going to take it on the bandsaw, or a jigsaw if you have a jigsaw, and cut it out. Then we'll sand them, drill holes in them, and this is what we're going to use the stack sand with. So this is what you end up having. Two ribs stuck to the plywood. Now you could do this if you wanted to cut a foam wing as well, but we're not going to do that. So these were templates from the Continental that I had, and I made the length the same as the Continental on the tip and the root, but the airfoil is closer to the Geobolt. So we've combined 2 airfoils with a couple of things that I wanted a bigger wing, more lifting capability. Now it's kind of thick out here at the tip. But that's okay. We could thin it out, but like I said, I made it closer to the Geobolt configuration. It's it doesn't lose a lot in the tip, so we should have good lifting capability. So I'll be back after I get her cut out on the bandsaw. Okay, it took about 5 minutes to cut these templates out. I cut them on the bandsaw and sanded them on the belt sander. So now we'll take a block and clean up any of the boogers. Make sure that they're nice and smooth and even. Look pretty good. I'm doing this just to show you control line airplanes. You don't have to be an aircraft engineer. You don't have to have CAD experience. All this stuff before all the computer and things, you know, all this stuff was done by craftsmen by eye in the early days of real aviation. You don't think the Wright brothers had a CAD program to make their airfoil, do you? They just said, well, that looks about right. And I know there's going to be some, well, they had advanced math and this, that, and the other. Whatever. They all work. A diamond airfoil will fly. A toilet seat will fly. But what I'm doing is I'm using 50 years of experience. And I know there's some that have more than I have of what I know works. And what is a valid concept. Okay, so we have one done. Now we'll do the root. That was the tip. The paper on this is 180. This is 1/8" aircraft ply. You can use anything, aluminum, light ply, whatever. The only thing is when you stack sand, if the wood is softer than the balsa, you end up sanding a flat in the airfoil. So try to get the wood, you know, the template wood or material harder than the balsa, so that when you get to the hard spot, it quits sanding to make a nice airfoil. Now we're going to make a 60-inch wingspan. I had thought about using that other airfoil that was already cut in a geodesic configuration. And geodesic is nice, but it's not 100% necessary. Dennis Adams Mission had an interesting wing. It was a beam wing with geodesic half ribs. That looked like it might work pretty good. Let's see what we got here. Use your eye, like I was telling one of the guys at Brodax on alignment. Your eyes don't lie. If you can see. So here we have the two ribs. Root, tip. Like it. Root, tip. I don't know what I'm going to call this airplane. I know what I want it designed like. It's going to have all the features of that I like so well. The swooping leading edges of the stabilizer and the leading edge of the wing. I really like that, and probably make this a little more pronounced. And it's going to have the nice fillets around the flaps and out at the end of the tips where the flaps don't go all the way to the end of the tip. There's about a 3-inch spot out there that has a nice round turn in it instead of being square. Everybody seemed to really gravitate to that. I thought about putting a turtle deck on it and make it similar to my Viper series, but I kind of want to use this canopy because it has the frame in it. So I'm thinking I possibly could do a turtle deck, a higher turtle deck of sort, and get this canopy on there in a downward slope like that instead of flat like a bubble top. I don't know. That's a ways off. This is day 2, and I've just been tinkering, getting all my stuff ready for the build. I don't have all the wood yet. I'm going to go through the rest of my stock of wood up there and see if I have enough to make a wing, which is, there is enough up there. But I'm not sure that there's enough good wood up there, because it's around the 6th generation, 7th maybe, generation of Thunderbolt wood. Back when I was working for Harley Davidson, I made real good money, and I bought a lot of wood from Lone Star. And I just have not been replenishing it. We also have to figure out, I don't want to end up with the holes, the bolt holes, or the the jig holes in the wrong spot, so I have to drill some jig holes in this. Try to figure out the plot so it doesn't. Basically, we're going to do it from behind. I think we're going to do it way back here. One there and one there. That way I can cut out the I have to look here. Oh yeah, we got plenty here. We'll go to the outside. Yeah, no, if I do that. This is the Brodak jig. I liked it. It built a real nice straight wing. I like it a lot. See, I've got to figure out where to lay the holes for the jig that I can go ahead and hollow all my ribs and still have the jig holes left. That's one of the things that I didn't care about it. It was rather difficult to get it all to line out without having to do a bunch of weird stuff. So I'll have to think about that. So day 2, we'll be back in a bit when I figure out the configuration where I want the jig holes. So then I got to go get to the hardware store and get some bolts, because we're gonna drill some holes in the stacks. Put all the ribs in between these two templates and sand these ribs on the belt sander so we have a wing. I've got to figure out the spacing that I want to use. So I'll be back in a bit. Well, I worked on the ribs this morning, and I've kind of changed direction. We know that I'm not going to be able to build a wing in a day. And I had told you about this wood that I got that was just phenomenal wood, but it had been broken in shipping, and this piece was not big enough for the elevator stabilizer. We need a 30-inch piece, and this is only 24. And all 3 pieces were broke right in the same spot. Like I said, it looked like they stepped on the box. So instead of wasting this wood, I took the lightest piece, straightest piece. We're going to be skinning this anyway. And I cut the extra piece that was broken off in half, down this way, into 2 smaller pieces. And we're going to glue these cross grain on the end, like that on each end. And then I'll cut my stabilizer out of that, because like I said, it gets hollowed, then sheeted anyway. So it won't be a wasted piece of wood, because it's just too nice to waste. Now I could do like Chris Rudd did and mold the leading edge and make ribs and build all this up. But what I have found, I have built them that way, but what I have found is they're lighter this way. If you can get good wood. I guess it's less glue. I'm not sure. But, so we're looking for an elevator stabilizer complete with horn at about 2.5 ounces. So I have the elevators here and the stabilizer. We have 8 inches to cut this out of. Where's this other piece? We need 2 of these. Boy, we have, oh, there it is. There's the other broken piece. So we have one that's 61. This is a lighter piece here. We want to use the lightest pieces that you have in the back. So these are starting out. This is all the wood for my elevator stabilizer we're going to start out with. And this is relatively heavy. And we'll see what it weighs. Weighs 126 grams. Uh, 126. We're going to get that down, way down. So that's what I'm going to work on today. I'm going to build the elevator and stabilizer and see if I can't get that done today. That'll be the first part finished on my new airplane. And I'll have wood left over here for the rudder. We're going to do it out of 3/8 because I really liked how the 3/8 rudder looked on the MC72 that I built. It had a real nice shape to it, and you just can't do that with 1/4 inch and 3/8 or whatever. So we're going to build, 3/8 and put a nice airfoil on it. I want this airplane to be very shapely. I had thought about taking the 2 pieces of 5/8 wood that I have, gluing them together and sanding an airfoil into them and making the elevator stabilizer out of that. But that's just too much. It's too thick. So I'm going to go down to the car, get out the toolbox because I had taken the CA to Brodak with me. And we'll CA the tips on this, lay it out, hollow it out, cut out the ribs, sheet it today, and groove the trailing edge on the router. So we'll be back in a minute. Okay, first step in the project was I got the sheeting done for the stabilizer. This is the core. I told you that it was broken and I had to glue pieces on each end. I found the center and cut it 15 inches on each end from the center. This is 30 inches, which is half the wingspan that we're going to make it. This, from what I understand, this ends up giving you 25 to 27% of the wing area for the elevator stabilizer. I don't know. I'm not that good at math. I have no clue. I just know this is the way I've always done it. And it's worked. And it works good. So, the next thing we're going to do, because we want this shapely, is I need to see. Yeah, I think this will work. I'm going to take this round piece here and we're going to draw circles on the end. I've already sanded the trailing edge of this straight with the long sanding bar, and we'll go ahead and put these circles on the end. I like the counterbalance effect that I have on both the Continental and the Monado, so we're going to do that again. I broke one of the little points off while I Brodak on the Continental. It just ruined my day. And I've got a way that we're going to fix that using 64th plywood sandwiched on that little pointy thing, so that'll never happen again. So now we have some circles drawn, one on each end. And we need to figure out how much elevator stabilizer we want. This is 4 inches. I figure 3.5 would be plenty at the root. So we'll set the square at 3.5 and make a mark. Now it gets some real nice fairings on the leading edge, but those are glued in afterwards and then super filled in to make a nice fairing on it. So we know that we're going to have, I'm going to make the fuselage narrower on this next one because I really like the looks of that super narrow fuselage on the Continental. I think on the other one I made an 1.25 inches. We're going to start off at 1 inch. We'll start off at 1 inch, and we could possibly narrow it up from that, but I do, this is a bigger airplane, so I do have to have enough room for all the rigmarole that goes on back there. So, it's always nice to have a whole pile of different measuring devices too. I don't see very well anymore, so I have different rulers. Yeah, I need one with the big numbers. I guess I just use the dressmaker's tape. Then of course we'll take a straight edge and connect the dots. Let's see how that looks. Let's see what this is. This is a 2-inch. So it has an 1.5 inch taper in it. That should look pretty good. As you can see, there are no plans. You don't need plans if you know how the basic construction of an airplane goes. Alright, so we have that. Connect these. Remember, this all gets sheeted, ribbed and sheeted, so we're not going to worry about the cross grain going this way on the tips, because it'll be hollow there and sheeted over with all the grain running this way, so it just doesn't matter. And I don't want to waste that piece of wood. It's just too nice to waste. So let's cut this off. Start whittling this piece down so that we want to get this down to 2.5 ounces, hinges, horns included. The only thing this cross grain makes it difficult to cut, but this is good soft wood, so we should be able to get through it. And if not, we'll cut it on the bandsaw. There we go. One time I was cutting a piece of wood, my finger was sticking over the top of the straight edge, and I was pulling it along, and I cut right through my finger like it was nothing. And I just watched it happen like it was in slow motion. It was unbelievable. What an idiot I was. But things happen. I don't think that's going to be a clean cut. Sure didn't feel good. But we shall see. I knew it. It's not terrible. Oh, boy. It'll be all right. It'll be fine. You guys wanted to see me sand? Well, I'm sanding. That's just good. Okay, so now we have to round the tips, and then we're going to set up the router and route that edge in, and I route that before I hollow it out because we want as much strength or stiffness in the wood as we can get. I don't know why this piece of wood acts so weird. It just doesn't want to cut very well. Okay, so now I take the short block. Sand up to the line. Then we'll go ahead and cut the elevators while we're before we go any farther. You want this at a 90. We can sand the shape in it after it's all together. Just like the wheel pants, which this is probably going to have those 8-hour a piece wheel pants, because yeah, they were hard to make, but boy, they sure look neat. It's probably going to take me that long to do the elevators when I do the sandwiching of the plywood. To figure out how to do that. I was told at the Brodak meet, something that I had never heard of, and is a true shame. But any of you who know Carl Lovins knows that he has one eye that that's kind of, I don't know, it's dead or whatever. And I was told by Jerry Phelps that that was a CA accident. And what Carl was doing was he CA'd a piece of wood together, and he blew on it, and when it kicked off, that smoke went into his eye, and it deteriorated from thereafter. Now, I have got CA smoke in my eye, and it was nasty, but I didn't think that it would do anything like, I didn't know Carl's eye was ruined from CA, and that is a total shame. So anyway, we got our stabilizer, and it's not hollowed and it's not ribbed. Let's see what we're down to as far as weight goes. .28 grams, so it's at 1 ounce now. And after we hollow it and sheet it, we're going to get it down lighter yet. So, we want to do the elevators next. These two pieces are real nice. And we're going to do it this way. Let's make a mark. 15 inches from the end. 15 inches. This is just a reference mark that I'm putting on here. You don't have to. I just want to make sure that I get enough material in the flap. We're going to line these two lines up. We're going to cut away the center section to clear the fuselage anyway, but as I stated, it's just a reference mark. So we put that on there like so. We want 3.5 back here on the elevator, so we measure 3.5 just to make sure that we got enough there. Right there. Right there. Huh. How can we do this? I don't have any help, no helpers here, so phone call. Hello. Okay, I've finished this piece. Took about 15 minutes to sand the ends around and get it squared up. I laid out the elevator stabilizer, or the elevators, and I made one, and I'm using it as a template for the other side. That's a nice thing about building your own design. There are no rules. You can do what you want. You build this part first, build that part first. It just doesn't matter. And it's whatever you think looks good. So here we have the layout of the elevator. I'll get a close up of that. As before, it'll have the signature tips on the end here. Comes around. And as soon as I get this other one laid out, I'll pin this together and make this a nice transition. Now I have to figure out how to embed 64th plywood into this little tang. That tang always breaks off, and how I broke it off was totally my fault, rubbing it with a rag like an idiot. Not paying attention. I was walking up to get the airplane weighed, and I just broke it off. So, not paying attention. We're going to cut across the grain with the bandsaw here. Just want to sand it. If you get resistance from the knife, there's no sense of breaking the ball. Not everybody has the tools. I cut that about 1/8 of an inch away from the line and brought it in with a disc sander. Not everybody has those tools, but I suggest that you spend the $80 and buy one. It sure will save some time. Mine are Ryobi. I think I got them on sale from Home Depot for about under $100. I know for sure. And if you'll notice here, I just cut it close to the line. I'm going to take it on the bandsaw, whack this off, and I'll go over to the disc sander and sand that curve in it. So first to the bandsaw. You get it close to the line here. It's just close. It's not even a good cut. And then to the bandsaw. I just get it close with the disc sander, and then I take and finish it off with a block. The last few thousandths of an inch. And that's basically the same what I'm going to do with the inside turn as well. Only we're going to use a Dremel sander on a disc. And that way you don't get any goofy breakage or what have you. So we'll cut this line here with the straight edge. I'm also going to show how to shape these. Remember, if you can build one part a day and the wing in 2 days, that's an airframe, or a whole airplane in 6 days. Framed up. It's not that big a deal. Don't want to break that tang off. So it's just close. If you notice here to the line, it's just close. We're going to take the Dremel with a drum on it and bring it up to the line. And that way it fits perfect. After we do that, this is the, I don't know who makes it, but get it from the hobby shop, the sandpaper on a roll, sticky back. Bernie Trent said he was going to send me some sandpaper. I am a sander. Let's see how it fits. We know this one fits good. Let's see if that fits. It's close. See that I need to straighten this edge out here. So now it's just about fitting all these things together. I guess it's this edge here. Take this. Of course, this is not a real critical thing because this piece fits inside the stab for 0 hinge gap with my hinges. If you were to tape them, that'd be a waste of tape. And just a bind. There is no need to tape them. We're going to do that this time on the wing as well. So that looks pretty good. So let's see what our elevator stabilizer weighs before we hollow and shape and horns. Feels like 2 ounces. We have 51 grams. So pretty close to 2 ounces, a little under 2 ounces. So I would say the actual build time so far on this elevator stabilizer is about an hour. The thought process, the laying out, the cutting and sanding. We'll have it probably, I'd imagine, 5 hours in it. Throw this stuff out. Too bad you can't take all these real small pieces of light wood and glue them together and make one piece of real good big wood light. Maybe I ought to make some chipboard out of balsa wood. So, I'm going to take about a 5-minute break. I go blow my nose. This dust is getting to me. We'll come back and think about how I'm going to embed plywood into this 64th ply to keep those from breaking off. Yeah, we're going to have to straighten that up. Let's see what happens there. Yeah. Make sure these are identical. They're pretty close. Check this. There's a whole lot of cutting off tools, but there's not many adding tools. So my suggestion is that you're real careful. So there we have a giant Continental elevator stabilizer, and I'm happy with that. The shape is right. So where I didn't have that quite that shape on my Monado XL, because I'm also going to use my 3/4 inch prop extension on this airplane that Jim Lee made for me, so I can get the motor back. Gonna keep the nose the same length, but move the motor back, and there we go. So we didn't quite get the exact same shape here. We'll take a little off of that one. I knew there was something odd going on there. How in the heck did that happen? need to do here is clamp them together, sand them together. So we got exact. Why are all these messages coming across? Yeah, that's why I removed Tap Talk. Messaging. So okay, they're exactly the same now. They've been sanded together. My eye can pick that stuff up. Much more better. Alright. So I'm going to take a break, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes. See you in a short.